Have you ever gotten these blank sketchbooks and used those for art? I've always had a couple with me wherever I go because I like to write down ideas, but I also like to doodle and do like fantasy sketches, or if I'm in an art gallery, I'll do a drawing of a painting that I like in the gallery. This is a painting by Maynard Dixon. Or if I'm sitting in a restaurant or something, I'll draw the people who are nearby. Or just do fantasy doodles like this. I was really into these very fine tip pens for a while, and they're really fun to do detail work. And then just a regular number 2 pencil can be great too. Or if I'm sitting in the car, sometimes I'll do what's in front of me. If I'm parked somewhere, that's not watercolor, that's ink, colored ink. So yeah, I went into get a job as a set painter, and I brought my sketchbook with me, and there were a bunch of drawings like that. And I went in, and this was sort of a Las Vegas tits and feather review, and I showed them my sketchbook, and the guy who was hired me on the spot, and I had never painted sets before. But anyway, there were these massive sets that had to be painted, and there were a lot of them. But the guy who was the art director, the guy who hired me, got sick, and so I had to do the work myself, and he would call in, and he had these little models, and he would show me what they're supposed to look like big, and then he would guide me over the phone. But at one point, there was this, I don't know, maybe like 50 feet across by 20 feet, 30 feet, piece of white silk. And I had to paint a tiger's face on it. And the guy who ran this place was a real jerk. And yeah, he worked us to death. The pay was really good, but yeah, like 12, 15-hour days were nothing. Anyway, this beautiful piece of white silk cost thousands of dollars. And he said, don't fuck it up. So I got on a ladder, and I put the ladder in the middle of the white silk, and I sat up on top of the ladder for like an hour, and I just got a sense of the space. And yeah, I did the whole thing with no mistakes. So anyway, we had to go to Bermuda to finish painting the sets. The show was in Bermuda. And so we're at this fancy hotel in Bermuda. And at some point, they needed stagehands. So I either volunteered or, again, they just worked people to death. And at one point, there was a can number. And maybe you don't know what that is, but it's a French thing with the dresses, with the kicking and all that. And there was a bar, and the can dancers would come down on the top of the bar, and I was underneath the bar, and I would hand them champagne bottles. That was part of the act, right? But I'm underneath this bar, and there's these can dancers on top going, dum, 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 pounding on the top. And at one point, I was a clown for the show, and but the thing is this guy would just work people to death. I mean, until they dropped. Even the dancers. I mean, they'd find them underneath the tables crying, And at one point, I just couldn't stay awake anymore, and I just fell down on the stairs going up to the stage, and I just couldn't stay awake. He fired me on the spot, and he refused to pay for my ticket back. So yeah, that's show business. And so yeah, I got a job painting sets at a Tits and Feather Review just through my little black sketchbook.